All right, everyone, we're gonna go and get started. First, I want to just welcome everyone to the Opportunity Youth Congressional Liaison Program information session. Assuming a lot of people will be watching this recording, but for those who are here, thank you so much for taking time out to learn more about the program. I'll start with myself and then I'll introduce my co-host. I'm Gerard Blue. I am the Director of Federal Advocacy and Policy with the Forum for Youth Investment. I've been here for almost 7 years now. I got into this work of advocacy because I love it and it means a lot to me. I'm from Rochester, New York. I grew up in not the best neighborhoods. So my passion for making sure that people understand that they have a voice and that they can include themselves in policy making, and it's a part of their civic duty to get as involved in invested as possible is important to me. And young people are our future and they dictate what our life's going to be like. So no other program more important than the Opportunity Youth Congressional Liaison Program for training and helping uplift the voices of young people. I love the work. I can't explain how excited I am to continue this work. And that's how I got here at the forum. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Megan.
Hello, my name is Megan McCann. I'm the Acting Executive Vice President for Policy with the Forum for Youth Investment. I live in Denver, Colorado. And I've been in the state policy world, working on issues impacting children, youth, and families for just over a decade now, but I've been with the Forum for a couple of years. And I'm just so excited to be part of this program and to be working with Gerard to revamp this program. I always say my purpose for being put on this earth is to be an aunt. I'm an aunt to a almost 10-year-old nephew and an almost 7-year-old niece, and they are my favorite humans. But I think being an aunt extends way beyond those relationships, and I just want to be supportive and encouraging and get into a little bit of mischief and have a lot of fun. And I think that is my purpose and my why on this earth. And so I'm just really excited to be part of this program, and excited to share a little bit more about it. But I'll hand it over to Dread. Or no, I'm so today, what we're going to do is just share a little bit about the forum, share about the program, what you can expect, understanding what OYCL, the Opportunity Youth Congressional Liaison Program, is, clarifying what we mean when we say Opportunity Youth, why are we doing OYCL, what it's going to look like, how it's connected to some other work that we're doing, including the Reconnecting Youth campaign, and other ways that you can get involved at the forum. So we're excited to chat today. So the Forum for Youth Investment is a nonpartisan nonprofit. We're based in DC, but overall our mission is to ensure that all young people reach their greatest potential in education, work, and life. And so we tend to do that in these three work streams, these three ways. One is through systems change. And so we have an initiative called the Building Ecosystem Statewide for Thriving Youth that is grounded and founded in people with lived experience, understanding what those challenges are, and then state leaders coming alongside to design a project about how they want to improve access and the experience of being system involved or working alongside those systems. We do that in policy. So Gerard will talk a little bit more about his work from the federal advocacy side. I also work and do some work in the Children's Cabinet Network. So states have these groups that meet regularly. All the system leaders come together. So Health and Human Services and education, workforce will come together and talk about issues impacting youth. And so we support those entities. And then our program quality, and that's where we work with after school programs, out of school time programs, basically all youth serving programs. to help them embed continuous quality improvement. So super jargony, but essentially, how can we make those programs the very best that they can be so that the youth who are participating in those programs achieve their fullest potential in education, work, and life. And so that's who we are as a forum. Always happy to answer more questions. But I will hand it back to Gerard to talk a little bit more about OYCL.
Thank you, Megan. And for those who are probably asking, and we've gotten tons of emails and inquiries, what is OYCL? Why are you all doing this? What does it mean to a young person who's trying to apply? Who should apply? What is the opportunity youth? Why are you guys focusing on this? Who else can be a part of the program? We're gonna break that down really quickly here. So next slide. First of all, the Opportunity Youth Congressional Liaison Program, or OYCL, is a virtual earn while you learn program. It's a part-time program where we train young people to get the skills required that they need to meet with their member of Congress. We strategically map these aspects out in each training in ways that young people can understand what federal, state, and local advocacy looks like, and then how they can prepare to have conversations on things that they are passionate about, and some of the work that we do at the federal level for Opportunity Youth Programming, and communicating that to their congressional staffer or the congressional member. Here's a picture of what some of our virtual trainings used to look like. We started this program back when the pandemic was going on. So a lot of the meetings we had were virtual. And as you can see here, we had a meeting with two staffers where a young person was able to talk about their experience living in that community and why it was so important to them or the congressperson to invest in opportunity youth. Next slide. That being said, what does it look like to be a part of the program? So this is a virtual Earn While You Learn program, and you'll spend around 30-ish hours throughout the entire program. We have trainings that each individual will have to attend, and then we have assignments that they'll have to complete. And payments will be made upon the completion of those assignments. Outside of that, we're also asking for them to potentially fly in to DC and meet in person with their member of Congress or their senator or their House representatives. When and where does the sessions take place? All of this is virtual, and we try to make it as easy and seamless as possible. The homework is virtual, the trainings are virtual, the workshops and everything else that we have going on after that is virtual. We provide the young leaders with everything that they need to successfully complete the program, whether that be information about their member of Congress, what's going on within their districts, how and where they can meet with their members of Congress, and then throughout the program, ways that they can get involved in issues that are important to them. The details of the stipends is that they'll receive up to $2,550 upon again the completion of each assignment. So they get trained and then they have an assignment. And once their assignment is completed, they'll be able to they'll receive their part of the stipend. It happens out in blocks. Right now we have it blocked out for about 8 trainings each cohort. So for each training and assignment completed, they will receive their funds. And then they'll get a bonus for meeting with their member of Congress or staffer from that member's office. Next slide. Who should apply? That said, and I know we talk a lot about opportunity youth and making sure that individuals 14 to 24 are active within the program. We're asking for anyone within that age range to apply. So, opportunity youth are young people 14 to 24 who are not in school, not in work. Um, we're looking specifically for individuals who are ages 16 to 26 because that age range either gives us a way to figure out what the young person's experience is throughout that time frame if they're at 16, and then 26 if they've aged out of a lot of that work, what did it look like and how much you can talk about it. um so if those individuals do have firsthand experiences, we're looking for them to be a part of systems or programs or from system and programs, like youth employment, foster care, juvenile justice, young people who are experiencing homelessness, and a host of other issues. They can be in school currently, and they can actually have workforce experience or have a job or be a part of a program. Overall, we're looking for young people and young people who have had these experiences as opportunity youth or understand the nuances or frustrations of being a youth and working with the system are what we're looking for. Everybody should apply. Everybody should look into the program. We're not taking anyone's application. We want all young people to thrive and receive this type of experience, but we are hyper focusing on opportunity youth. That being said, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Megan.
Okay, thank you. So as Gerard said, opportunity youth, when we say that term, we mean all youth ages 14 to 26 who are not in school and not working. Currently, so why is that the population that we're focusing on for the OYCL? Because nearly 5 million young people across the country, or about 1 in 9 young people in that age range, are currently not in school and not in work. And we know that disconnection can be a barrier to achieving any goals from a stable job, civic engagement, and community impact. And so I think looking at that population, what we also know with absolute certainty is that these young people have potential, but limited access to opportunity. So this is has the potential to create some opportunity and really live out that potential. It is both a local and a national issue. So as we work with young people and young leaders during OYCL, those will be the areas of focus designed and as we talk about things. And ultimately, all young people, in particular opportunity youth, deserve a seat at the table where decisions are made, and not just a seat at the table. They deserve a role at the table, and to really be part of that conversation, both defining the problem and the solution. Next slide. So our purpose with Opportunity Youth Congressional Liaison Program is to help remove some of those barriers that disconnection may bring, change systems and policies to better include and support young leaders, meet youth and families where they are. As Gerard said, apply. We are going to accept every application to review. And so we want to hear from everybody. We want to change systems and policies and champion community change, whether that's local, state, national, what your community looks like to you or to young leaders. We want to lift up local and state efforts that have done this successfully and have done great work to support youth. And we want to pass the mic from the policy wonks working in these national organizations to the people impacted by those policies. And so next slide. So what I think Gerard gave us a little bit about what the program entails, but we're going to go into it a little bit more here and kind of some higher level themes of the program. So we can go to the next slide. So as Strad said, this is an Earn While You Learn program. So it's a 3-month paid fellowship for youth ages 16 to 26. It will include trainings to equip those young leaders with the skills and tools they need to work with and advocate to lawmakers at whatever level, all levels, including Congress. And participants will build those advocacy skills, participate in trainings, check-ins, assignments, connect with peers, and share lived experience, and participate in the program designed with and for opportunity youth. Next slide. So the training timeline, again, it's a 3-month program. As Dred said, we will have all virtual trainings that occur every other week. Each training, there will be some sort of assignment to go along with it that will be required for stipend purposes. And participants are compensated once that assignment is submitted. Trainings may be up to 2 hours and they will be in the evening. So we want to accommodate schedules for those who need the daytime hours. So we will be able to provide that schedule in advance so you can plan accordingly. Some of the high-level content areas will be in an intro to advocacy, background on opportunity youth, any of the policy issues, a government 101, social media communications and advocacy, and then a look at state and local government. So again, really looking from that local community perspective all the way up to congressional issues and how that operates. So I'm going to hand it back to Gerard to talk about another initiative that we have that's very connected.
Thank you, Megan. So going off of what Megan talked about, a lot of the work that we do at the national level is a part of the Reconnecting Youth campaign. And that's how we ground a lot of the work and training that we're going to be providing for the young leaders. So the Reconnecting Youth campaign is a coalition of national, state, and local organizations that want to help in scaling up evidence-based federal funded programs and helping to connect young people to education and the workforce. We've done that for the past 10 years. And we've been able to successfully increase appropriations for programs that help young people get back connected to a workforce or education. So a lot of the trainings that we're going to be teaching or providing to the young leaders are going to be invested or grounded into this Reconnecting Youth campaign work. Um, we can provide information about the Reconnecting Youth campaign, how you can get involved in the Reconnecting Youth campaign. It's a federal campaign that really focuses on increasing investments for programs that are state and local, but help young people get reconnected. And that can be from juvenile justice, child welfare, social services, education, um, all different types of or foster care, all different types of system areas. But we want to make sure that these young people get reconnected, and that's how we ground a lot of our trainings. Next slide. That being said, a part of this relaunch is going to be an in-person convening that the young people can attend. Because we started this program in during the pandemic, it was hard to get individuals in person. But now that DC is opened up and everyone is back in the office, what our goal is to train everyone virtually and then make sure that they are able to come out here and meet with their member of Congress or their staffer in person. That creates a connection, make sure that they remember each other, and then also something that they can take back home with them and start to move, advocate, and progress change within their communities. Upon the completion of all of the trainings that we have, again, it's about 8. We're gonna ask them and train them, the young people, on what it looks like to have a meeting with your member of Congress. Now, everyone has 3, so you have one House representative, and then you have 2 senators. The young leaders are encouraged to choose who they feel connected to the most, or who they feel like can make the most change within the area that they're excited about. Now, we talk about increased federal appropriations with the Reconnecting Youth campaign, but these young leaders can talk about anything that's important to them. We've had young leaders talk about foster care and what it looks like aging out and how members of Congress should start to focus on that and what programs they should be doing. We've had young leaders talk about the workforce and how they should be increasing minimum wage within their area and why that's something that they should focus on. We've talked about individuals who are experiencing homelessness or with childcare and have issues and what the member of Congress should be looking at or thinking about within their state. So we ground our trainings with the Reconnect Youth campaign, but these young leaders can focus on or talk about whatever they want once we get that meeting solidified. We give as much information as possible about the convenings that are coming up, or about in-person meetings, virtual meetings, so that these young leaders can continue to have relationships with their member of Congress and stay involved federally, statewide, and locally as much as possible throughout the year. So they don't just get trained and then we leave them. We help them process this work after it's done. And then some of them help us as we continue to grow the program. And you'll hear from two of those um, liaisons in a second. So it doesn't end when the training ends. We want to make sure that you're successfully moving forward your policy, your advocacy work, and that the relationship that you have with your member is something that's sincere and something that's tangible for you as a young person. Next slide. So now we're going to showcase, before we listen to or hear from two of our amazing young leaders, this is a video or a montage. Uh, it really focuses on why other organizations should put young leaders at the table, but they talk about their experience with the program, with the Opportunity Youth Congressional Liaison trainings, and why it was important to them, how effective it was, and why other organizations or young people should get involved. So we'll play that now.
Should work with young people due to the fact that our young people have voices and they need to be heard. It's not just our older generation, it's our younger ones. And I believe they're the ones who are impacted the most. And I think their voices just needs to be heard a little bit more because they are young. Whether it's at 10 years old, whether it's at 13, they still have their experiences and they still need to be heard.
Life is happening while we're advocating, and we have to be able to, or we do balance it. And I found that balance. And there was family, there were friends, there were people in the cohort, and our superiors to so many extents that are there for us when you're doing these things.
I was almost with my daughter, and I didn't really know that I could use my voice to advocate for myself, to be able to allow my voice to bring about change. That moment when I was able to, and I realized that I was able to use that voice to make a change and to pass these policies and legislation, it made a really huge impact.
And being able to meet us where we are, because we are literally everywhere, but the thing is, most organizations see us as invisible. They see us, but then they don't see us. Do you understand what I mean? So it's sort of like, that's one way of getting them, and how you retain them is having that aspect of humanity. For instance, the example I gave is when we were having the discussion with, I think, Joanne and Jamal at some point, it's sort of like being able to relate to you in a way that other people don't see you. They don't talk to you like that, giving you sort of like restoring that dignity where they understand your story beyond you being maybe homeless or being from foster care. That is one thing that I'll tell you made me actually stay in the program, just having that conversation and having Joanne tell me, oh, I may not have been in that particular situation. I am open to hearing your story, that sort of thing. That's the way you retain young people within those programs, because it's that sense of having like a sense of belonging, or knowing that somebody cares about me, that I'm not just a statistic, I matter. And my story and my experiences also matter.
Digital advocacy. As I started, OYU had connected the Reconnect the Youth campaign by digital advocacy, to use that as a social media platform to connect to those, and also the Zoom function was a great skill to get connected to the youth and also having some attention span to the digital youth and other areas as well.
This was my first time being paid for advocacy, and that was kind of different. Like, not necessarily like, oh, we getting paid, but kind of like, oh, like I do this all the time and like I'm getting rewarded for it. I think seeing the fruits of our labor is like crazy.
Look at it in forms of, it's not a favor that they're doing to young people. They're not doing us a favor. They should look at it as a sort of like, we're working with members of our community, because most of them tend to look at it like, we are doing this as a favor to you. It's sort of like to save you from the vices.
I actually work with several organizations, and over the years, I have noticed that there is tokenism, and there are organizations that will exploit your story and use it for several different reasons. And it's been challenging to navigate like how to work with organizations, but making sure it's a two-way street where you're receiving something out of it and the organization is also, getting their end of it. So I think as I work through this and as I acknowledge, what my voice means, what my story means, and who I am as a person, it's just really important to acknowledge that whenever you're working with organizations, it's important for them to be supporting you both personally and professionally during that journey. And I think it's making me a better advocate, because I don't want to see other youth and young adult stories just be put out there to be glamorized, or just to like say that it's out there for funding reasons. I think it's just really important to acknowledge that it's important to do it in an authentic way. Yeah.
I don't know why that gets me choked up. But those are just some of the experiences from young people and some of the things that they learn while going through the program. That being said, I'm going to invite up two of the liaisons who've been a part of the program. And they're gonna talk about what happened when they're a part of the program, what their experience was, and then some exciting stories about what's been going on in their lives now. So I'm gonna pass it over to Marlene first.
Thank you so much, Sherrod. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm just like you when I watch the video, I'm crying. But for me, like OYCL is a deeply personal and home to me. That's what I look at it as. And yourself and Joanne really made a huge difference in my life, because at the point when I was joining it, and I discussed this before with you and Joanne, I was just in the middle. Life had just hit me so hard. I'd gotten invitation to get like to an Ivy League school, but I did not have funding. I was in between places and I'd just given up completely. So when I saw your email, I was like, okay, there's still hope in the world somewhere. So this was them sort of like star that I needed to know that I should not give up and I should continue. So for me, even being in the program, the one thing that I really liked was their interactive sessions and the assignments, because when I joined the program, I had no idea what appropriations were, all the budgeting stuff. For me, I was just like, I'm in survival mode. All I care about is, where am I going to get my next meal? Where am I going to get money for tuition? Where am I going to sleep next? So those were their focus points in my mind. And it's the same for many people who find themselves in homelessness situations, or in a place where they're constantly, when they're waking up, we sit down and we are thinking, okay, what are we going to do today? Let's hope that it doesn't rain or it doesn't snow, or otherwise we're in big trouble. So joining the program, I realized I could see how these things are interconnected. When we are talking about appropriation, it actually directly impacts me, because when the government, when the federal government or the state government doesn't give money for this, then this is why we cannot have affordable housing. This is why I cannot afford to stay in the place that I'd like to stay, or things like that. So it got me thinking, and I was like, I need to care more about this. I need to not just complain about my situation, but find a way in which I can use my situation to advocate for these other young people who are in my position. So that's what I really liked about this program, as well as the interactive sessions and my cohort. It always felt like a family whenever we had the Zoom sessions, because I'd come in, I'd probably had the worst day. I did not have, I'm thinking about, okay, after the session, where am I going to sleep? And then Gerard comes there and he's thirsty and he's smiling, and they could hear Adelia, and then there is Christina with her stories of her babies. I'm like, oh wow, everything just, all my troubles just fall away. So I really, really liked that part. And I was sad when it finally ended, but it really helps a lot. And one another thing I appreciate is, after coming from the program, I'd say it was the launching pad for what some of the things that I'm doing now, because I remember during the program, Joanne advised us to write this letter to our Congress member or senator. So I wrote to Senator Cruz, and I remember it was just a very polite letter and everything, and I did not hear back from him. But then I decided, you know what? No, no, no. I'm going to take the lessons I learned, and I'm going to march to their office and actually explain and tell him why he needs to care about it. And I remember waiting there, going for a whole week, waiting there. I'm not seeing him until I decided, you know what, I'm going to stay there. No one is going to kick me out. If you arrest me, fine, but I'll speak my mind. So eventually I got to meet him, and I got to explain why this is a problem, and telling him our stories, that not everyone who's on the street or somewhere is dumb or is just there because they want to. People face different circumstances. So you need to look at us as human beings, as people who have a life, who have dreams, who have vision, and just care. All we want you to do is care and see us. So for the first time, I never saw this man cry. This man had tears in his eyes. He was like, okay, fine, what do you want me to do? So I laid out a plan. I said, it's not enough to just say you're going to help us. We need to see the actions. When you go to Congress, we need to see more budget allocation for opportunity. And explaining to him now what OYCL does, and like, this is a huge program. We need to see more money allocated to this, because if you are not seeing us and these other organizations are seeing us, then clearly there's something wrong. So that is what launched me, because through him now, and I was able to now get other connections. I was able to go to the UN Habitat and talk to these people who sit in these big forums and think that they know about the issue of homelessness. And I was explaining the situation in Huntsville and in Texas and other states. So that was the first thing that I realized, oh wow, look at what OICL has done for me. I cannot speak, I'm the worst person when it comes to speaking. Ask me to write anything, I'll write it for you. Gerard knows this. I freak out when he'd pick on me and say, oh, Moline, what do you think? I'm like, oh no, Gerard, why did you do this to me? So, but those lessons really help. So even when I would be self-conscious, thinking I'm not making sense, I'll be like, hear Gerard and Joanne in my mind saying, you got this, and I would speak. So now, because another thing, like this year, that was in just immediately after I finished the program. And now in 2023, I got nominated for an opportunity by the European Union, Women and Youth in Democracy. And the reason they nominated me, they told me they saw me and they had uh, my contribution to the UN Habitat, and they wanted to know about what my thoughts are on policy and all these things. And they felt unqualified because I was just learning about appropriations and all these things. How would I know all this? And I thought, let me call Gerard, let me call Joanne, but I was so scared. Oh no, he'll think I don't know this. So I decided I'm going to do this. And that's what I've been doing. I've been working with now the European Union, because now they have, after the nomination, they flew us out to, I think it was in Kenya, the first time I ever left the country, by the way. They flew us out there. We had this program, and I was speaking to all these people about OICL, and they're like, where is this program? Can we see it? Like, I'll tell, I'll show them the website and they can we join. Or like, no, 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 it's just for Americans, you know. But it was a it has been a very big opportunity for me. And that's why when even Gerard talks to me about OYCL, it's deeply personal for me. I'm like, this is home. It has to continue because it's what you make with their opportunities that we get from OYCL and the Reconnecting Youth campaign is what you make with it afterwards. They can give us all these tools, but if you sit on it, then you'll just be in the same space that you're in. But if you use it very well, then you can create all these spaces, all these opportunities that you never thought you could get. So that has been what I've been doing. And as last year, they gave me a grant, as I was telling Gerard, to execute a program, and I'm going to do a program on homelessness in Texas, in Huntsville, and then another one I'm supposed to do it out of country. So I'm still figuring out which one to do. So I'm sorry, I can ramble on and on. Sorry, Gerard.
No, no need to apologize. And we're extremely proud of you. I'm extremely proud of you and everything you've been able to accomplish. I'm gonna pass it over to Christina.
Hello, everyone. Christina here. Um, I'm based out of Bakersfield, California. The OYCL, what it means to me, it was a very huge opportunity to work with this organization. At the time, life was lifing. My favorite part, honestly, about working with OYCL was how they were very open with my kids joining the meetings, sitting there, just everyone just welcoming them in. And I think one of the things that I really took out of it was the importance of our youth voices. And when I say the importance of that is a lot of our youth, especially now, is not heard as it should be, especially when their experiences, for example, I grew up in the foster care system. Since the age of 6, I was a teen parent in the foster care system. So navigating the system and then navigating a parent, it was very difficult for me. Aging out of the foster care system was even more difficult because I didn't have the help that I needed. When I tried to go to school, it was very difficult for me going to school and then finding a job because I had my daughter. And then I was homeless too at the same time. So it was really hard focusing on school. And I got into an organization called California Youth Connection, and they taught me what it is to use my voice in a very impactful way. At first, I never liked to speak in front of people. Anxiety was sky high, horrible, but this organization helped me navigate the anxieties and work with it. And then I worked with another organization called John Burton Advocates for Youth. They were the ones that actually got me connected with Gerard and the Forum of Youth Investment. And when I first heard about it, I'm going to be honest, I was really hesitant because I didn't really understand. This was on a national level, and I only done local and statewide work. So moving to a national level, it was very challenging, scary, intimidating, I guess. But it was fun. I loved it. I love working with Gerard. Gerard is amazing. Um, I loved working on the Reconnecting Youth campaign. I think that was one of the most important things that I've worked on due to the fact that right now and back then when COVID was happening, a lot of our youth were disconnected from the workforce, from school, and it was very hard. A lot of our youth ended up homeless. They ended up losing jobs. Like for me, instance, I was able to work with our board of supervisors, and I lost my job due to COVID. So being able to work with Gerard and being able to speak about the disconnections that youth face, especially when COVID was happening. It was very impactful. A lot of my work focuses on homelessness and parenting within the foster care system, and then the aging out aspects. Um, the Reconnect the Youth campaign was a little bit different from what I usually worked on. So being able to have that experience, it actually helped me more to be able to like, oh, so it's not just the homeless. Oh, it's not just foster youth. It's everybody in general. So I was like, okay, let me take this in. And then when we had our assignments, working on our assignments, I was really able to actually dive deeper into the issues. And as we kept going more and more and more into the assignments, it was actually an eye opening for me. It helped me so much on a personal level, but also on a professional level as well. Um, One of the things that actually made me really want to go into the issue, like the local issues, was the Reconnecting Youth campaign because of COVID and our youth being disconnected from the workforce and school. I was able, you know what, let me try to do this at a local level. I was able to work with a lot of our assembly people here, a lot of our like people that work here, our board of supervisors, the county supervisors. It at first it was okay, but then it started getting even more difficult as things started opening up. And oh, well, why can't you get a job, or why can't you go to school? Not all of us have that help to be able to work, but also go to school, especially with the challenges that we face now, especially now with everything that's going on. Um, the national Working on a national level has been a really amazing experience, and it's opened a lot of opportunities for me to work with other organizations. I had the opportunity to work with, I don't know if you know, quality parenting initiatives. I was able to work with them, of course, John Burton, California Youth Connection. But one of my biggest things I was able to have an eye opener for is wanting to sit at a higher level to be able to make a change. I want to right now I'm working on getting a campaign going for myself to run for state assembly. Within the next couple of years, I have an organization that's willing to work with me, help me hone in on a lot of things that are really important to me. And I feel like if I want to make a change, I know I can make a change at sitting at this level. And I believe that's where it starts to be able to do policy and legislation. I love policy work. It's something that I always had a knack for. And honestly, Gerard actually helped me realize that as closing the closing off, I really like, you know what? I think this is something that I really want to do. And OYCL helped me actually believe in myself to be able to do this and to run for office. So I'm so grateful, and I can't wait for the next cohort to happen to see all these amazing young youth and see what they accomplish.
I appreciate that. And I'm so excited for everything you're doing, Christina. You and the babies. We're really, really excited. And thank you and Marlene for being able to share your experiences with the world. That there's bravery there. And we truly do appreciate everything that you've done for our organizations and then that you're doing for your local communities. If we can go to the next slide, we will open it up for anyone who may have questions for either myself, Megan, or the two liaisons. So we're just opening up time. Feel free to come off mute or put your questions in the chat. And seeing none, that means that me, Megan, Christina, and Marlene were extremely thorough during this presentation. That being said, this is being recorded for individuals who want to watch this live. Thank you for watching it and for sharing it with young people in programs who serve and work with young people. Next slide, please. If you have any questions about what's going on with the Forum for Youth Investment and the work that we're doing that Megan described earlier, you can join our list. We have resources, events, updates that are happening about the forum. So feel free to use the QR code or go to our website, forum, FOURUM, and you can find tons of information there. Next slide. That being said, we'll be keeping the application open until April 14th, so it's not too late to apply. Share this with everyone and anyone, young person or programmatic individuals who may be interested in this program. If you still, after watching this video, are unsure about what's happening with the program, you have a couple more questions, you need a little bit more clarity, feel free to email me. That's my email at the top. Again, Director of Federal Policy and Advocacy at the Forum for Youth Investment, and my email's there. And you can also reach out to my colleague, Megan. She's our acting EVP of Policy. And you utilize those emails in order to get in contact with us, and we are responding regularly to anyone who has inquiries. Um, that being said, we want to thank you all for joining this video and for watching the entire thing. We appreciate all of you. We hope that you share this with your family, friends, programs, and young people who may be interested. And a major shout out to the young leaders who've gone through this program before, their experiences, and the work that they're doing within their localities. That being said, we want to thank you all, and I think that's it.